We all know how Jurassic Park ends. It is one of the most triumphant, fist-pumping finales in cinematic history. The T-Rex bursts in at the last second, fights the velociraptors, and saves the day. Then our heroes board a helicopter. Alan Grant looks out the window at a flock of pelicans, realizing that nature has found a balance. They survived. The nightmare is over. It's a beautiful ending, but it's a complete Hollywood lie. In Michael Crichton's original 1990 novel, there is no heroic T-Rex to save the day. There is no peaceful helicopter ride into the sunset. The end of the book is a blood-soaked, apocalyptic descent into hell. If the movie was an adventure, the book's finale is pure survival horror straight out of the movie Alien. Characters are gutted alive. Survivors are forced to crawl underground into a literal monster's nest. And when rescue finally comes, they don't just fly away. The military steps in and burns the entire island to ash. Welcome to the finale of our deep dive into the Jurassic Park novel. Today, we are covering the gore, the raptor nest, and the napalm strike that Hollywood was absolutely too terrified to film. Before we get to the apocalyptic finale, we need to talk about the gore, because the deaths in this book are incredibly graphic. Let's start with Dennis Nedry, the corrupt computer programmer who shuts off the park's power. In the movie, Nedry crashes his Jeep, meets a Dilophosaurus, gets spit on, and is eaten inside his car while the camera pans away. It's scary, but it's bloodless. In the book, Nedry's death is a masterclass in body horror. When Nedry encounters the Dilophosaurus, it spits venom directly into his eyes, blinding him. He is screaming, rubbing his eyes, completely helpless in the pouring rain. Then he feels a sharp pain in his stomach. He reaches down with his hands and feels a warm, wet mass slipping through his fingers. Because he is blind, it takes him a second to realize what he is holding. Dennis Nedry is holding his own intestines. The dinosaur has sliced his stomach completely open. As he falls to his knees, the Dilophosaurus clamps its jaws down on his head and picks him up by the skull. But the most shocking death in the book belongs to a character who actually survives in the movie, Dr. Henry Wu, the chief geneticist. In the film, Dr. Wu calmly evacuates the island before the storm even hits. He lives on to become the villain in the Jurassic World movies. In the book, Dr. Wu stays on the island, and unlike Hammond, Wu actually tries to help. He realizes his mistake. He realizes the frog DNA is allowing the dinosaurs to breed, and he tries to help Ellie Sattler restore the power. While they are barricaded in the visitor center, a velociraptor jumps down from the roof. It lands directly on Dr. Wu. Ellie watches in pure horror as the raptor pins the scientist to the ground, rips his stomach open, and literally eats him alive while he is still screaming. There is no plot armor in this book. Nobody is safe. So, how does the book actually end? In the movie, the goal is simple. Turn on the power, call a helicopter, and run. But in the book, Alan Grant refuses to leave the island until he knows the truth. He knows the raptors are breeding, and he knows some of them have already escaped on supply boats to the mainland before the military bombs the island. Grant realizes they have to know exactly how many raptors were born, so they can track down the ones that escaped. To do this, Grant, Ellie, and the game warden Robert Muldoon have to do the unthinkable. They have to go into the velociraptor nest. Isla Nublar is a volcanic island. Beneath the jungle is a network of dark, steamy, geothermal caves. Grant and the team crawl into these pitch-black tunnels armed with flashlights and nerve gas grenades. The tension in this chapter is suffocating. It reads exactly like the xenomorph hive scene in Aliens. As they creep deeper into the earth, they find the nest. And what they see is terrifying. The raptors aren't just mindless killing machines. They are highly intelligent, highly organized animals. Grant watches as the raptors line up in perfect formation. They are facing the ocean. They are preparing to migrate. They have exhausted the food supply on the island, and their biological instincts are telling them it is time to move to the mainland. Grant realizes that if these creatures get off the island, the human race is at war. They manage to count the cracked eggs, determining exactly how many raptors exist, before deploying the nerve gas and sprinting for their lives as the hive wakes up. Grant and the survivors finally make it to the beach. They look up into the sky and see them. Helicopters. But it's not just a cozy rescue chopper. It is the Costa Rican Air Force. The government has finally realized what John Hammond was doing on this island. They know about the baby-eating compis on the mainland. They know the containment has been breached. The soldiers land on the beach and forcefully detain the survivors. Alan Grant looks out over the island, the multi-billion-dollar park, the visitor center, the jungles filled with prehistoric miracles. The commander of the military forces looks at Grant and asks, "Is there anyone left alive in there?" Grant shakes his head. No. The military doesn't take any chances. They call in airstrikes. As the survivors are flown away, they look out the windows of the helicopter. They don't see a peaceful flock of pelicans. They see the entire island of Isla Nublar being carpet-bombed with napalm. The jungle erupts into a sea of fire. The animals, the laboratories, the amber, the visitor center, all of it is incinerated. The military burns the Jurassic Park nightmare down to the bedrock to ensure nothing survives. And the book still doesn't end there. There is no happy ending for our heroes. When they land in Costa Rica, they aren't allowed to go home. The government confiscates their passports. They are detained indefinitely in a hotel, told that they are never allowed to speak about what happened on that island. And as Alan Grant sits in his hotel room, a government agent comes in with a grim look on his face. He tells Grant that deep in the Costa Rican jungle, local farmers have been reporting something strange. Groups of unknown animals have been spotted eating crops. Strange, small, fast animals that move like birds. The napalm strike on the island worked, but it was too late. The dinosaurs had already inherited the earth. And that is the true story of Jurassic Park, a brutal, pessimistic nightmare about corporate greed and biological terror. If you made it through this entire trilogy, thank you so much for watching. Now that we've ruined both IT and Jurassic Park, what childhood memory should we ruin next? Should we dive into the psychological torture of Stephen King's Misery? Or should we explore the terrifying, dark animation lore of Coraline? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next nightmare.